All right.
Hey, Roger, good to see you again, and thank you for participating in this Q&A on search engine optimization. Um, we are going to, in 12 minutes, get through the highlights that you as the Western Regional Rep for Wheaton, Bekins, Stevens, and Arpin, you know everything. You know all the questions. So hopefully I can come up with some of the answers.
Well, Bob, thank you. First of all, on behalf of the Wheaton Group and all of our agents, we truly appreciate Marketers for Movers that you are supporting our event this year, the Van Lane Summit, as you have with previous events. It means a great deal to us to have a sponsor such as yourself. So thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate it.
Well, let's go ahead and jump into it. One of the things I get from agents is when I say, hey, you really need to work on what you're doing with your web, is they kind of roll their eyes and go, what is this search engine optimization? It doesn't even sound real to me. So can you give us sort of a Twitter length version of what SEO really is?
Sure, thank you. What we're trying to do is provide enough authority to the website to get it pushed up in ranking in Google. With about 91% of all users on Google not going beyond page one, you're really not having much influence with your website if you're not on page one for some set of keyword searches. It's not possible to be on probably for every single one, but for at least some to get you some traffic. And my bottom line is traffic equals clicks and clicks equal completed forms. You can't have the completed get quote form without traffic to your website.
That makes sense. You used the word authority. Can you maybe dive into that just a tad bit of what that means? I mean, that's just
Sure.
our websites can tell everybody what to
Yeah,
do.
I mean, there are thousands of algorithms at Google, but basically what they're looking at is content number one, and then the technical part of the site number two. So the site has to load quickly. That is a ranking factor. Rich, robust, fresh content is a ranking factor. So if you're not changing your site up on a regular basis, monthly basis, adding a page, taking a page down, putting up a blog, adding an area served page, anything like that to let Google know that, hey, this site is active, these people are trying to be relevant, and the more clicks you get, that really is key to getting up in ranking, but you also have to have engaging content. They're keeping track of how long people are on your site. So if somebody comes and quickly clicks off of it, we call that a high bounce rate, that is a negative, and Google's keeping track of that. So rich content, informational content, educational content, you know the drill, Roger.
That's great. I appreciate that. Now, some of the agents say, well, I already paid somebody to build the website. I've got somebody else who's hosting and I'm paying somebody to do my social. Now you're saying I got to pay somebody else. How does that all work?
Well, I think that various SEO consultants handle it differently. We have a one-stop approach where we have people that'll write the social, we have techs on board that will handle all the webmaster duties, and we have people that will write the website. However, to be able to show what we can do, we'll customize our offerings to accommodate the people that they already have on board. The holistic approach with having one company do everything probably makes more sense, but we're not going to drive a hard bargain and say, oh, you have to, if you come with us, we have to build you a new website. You got to pay for a new website. We don't do that. We're going to look at the website, see if it's salvageable. If there are real problems with it, we may say, to get some traction here, you need a new website. But typically, if they have people doing social, we can work with that. If they have their own webmaster, we can work with that.
Okay, now this sounds very all-encompassing. It also sounds expensive.
Well, our rate for a competitive market is around $2,000 a month. We think that anyone getting into the moving business, especially in a larger market, needs to be able to spend between $2,000 and $4,000 a month on SEO services. That seems to be in the ballpark of what people are spending. Is it right or wrong? I don't know, but it is what's going on. And if somebody wants to play in a Phoenix or a Detroit or a Miami, that's what it's going to cost them to be competitive and to get toward page one for a certain set of keywords.
Now, how about our agents that are maybe in a little bit smaller, more rural type of market?
We have less services for those people because it's not as competitive, and we can do that in the $1,000 range, maybe a little bit below $1,000.
Okay, great. So let's talk a little bit about what they can expect for that kind of a spend. Everybody wants instant results. That's why movers love postcards, because they go out today and in the next 3 days, my phone's going to ring. A little bit different with SEO. How does that work?
Well, the beauty of SEO is that it is an investment in the future. So if it's done right, it will pay off and pay off and pay off. You don't have to send the postcards, although we think they're a great idea. You don't have to advertise on Google AdWords, although it can be beneficial in certain ways. The startup is slow because Google is just set up to index slowly and really give people credibility, give a website credibility over time. So if you look it up and Google, how long does SEO take? You'll see an answer box that they've used for years now from Forbes magazine that says 4 to 6 months. In some markets, it can be a lot less than that. But if you're on page 4 and you're in Philadelphia, it may be 8 months. It all depends. But once it gets going, then you don't have to keep sending the check to Google, paying that credit card. It will continue to build and build and build. And that's what's the beauty of clients that have been with us since 2010, 2011, 2012. They're not having to use AdWords. They're not having, I don't know if they use postcards or what other things they might use, but the leads just keep building. Year after year, they keep building.
Talking about the leads, what kind of lead volume are you seeing with your mover clients from their website?
Sure. Well, it depends on how long they've been doing it and in what market they're in, and of course, what time of the year. But even in our smaller markets, over 100 leads a month is very common in the June, July, August period. And some of them get that in the fall. And of course, this year, it went very late into the fall, even into December. So one of my clients said they were up 300% in December, and they credited it all to us. And this is a fellow that doesn't blow smoke, so we were really happy to hear that. And he's been with us for about 16 months or so.
Now, you mentioned keyword. You talked about page 1. Is the focus just to get everybody the search for movers? Is that where you spend all your energies to make sure they show up if someone types in movers? Or how do you typically approach it?
Well, movers and moving companies is about 85% of the searches. And so those are the most competitive keywords. We are always looking to get to those, but we want to use some other tactics to start getting clicks to the page. So we might do something like piano moves, gun safe moves, things like that aren't as competitive. Maybe a long tail keyword. Some of your movers may specialize in library moves or a museum move or something like this. So if we can get them into areas that are not as competitive, they're going to start to see some clicks. And then that gives them some faith that, oh yes, we're getting some traction. It's starting to work. But everybody, it's just human nature. Nobody wants to leave any money on the table. So consequently, it's like, well, I know I'm not picking on anybody, but I know I'm in Orange County, but I really do want to serve Burbank and Santa Clarita and Santa Barbara. Well, our approach is concentric circles. Okay. Let's pick all the low hanging fruit in a 10-mile radius, a 20-mile radius, a 30-mile radius. It's hard to be all things to all people with so much competition in some of these major markets. Los Angeles is very competitive. South Florida is probably the most competitive we see. Very, very difficult to get traction in South Florida.
Great. So geography counts.
Definitely.
In case anybody was wondering. Now, one of the concerns I hear is, well, I don't want to sign a 5-year contract. What kind of a commitment do I have to make with your company?
Well, we've been at this a long time. So we went through the Great Recession of 08, 09, 10. And we decided then nothing but a month-to-month agreement, cancelable, 30 days notice. And then we have a discounted trial offer to begin with, so that the first month we give them 50% off and then start climbing it, so that we're putting some skin in the game for people that have no idea who we are. Maybe they got a referral, maybe they picked us up online, but there still is a leap of faith there. And we call that period between when you start sending the check in and you start seeing results, that's the gap, Roger. And getting people through the gap is the real tough time.
Well, great. I see that we're kind of winding down on our time, but I did want to ask, I believe you're doing some work for some of our agents in the Wheaton group already.
There was just a slight breakup there. Do we work
Just
for Wheaton?
some of the other agents in our, you do work with some of the agents in our.
Absolutely. We work with Stevens agents, Wheaton's agents, Arpin agents. Don't have anybody at Bekins right now, but those three. And we have a dozen, 2 dozen or so of those agents, and are delighted to have them in the client base.
Well, Bob, thank you very much for allowing me to participate in the conversation today. And I'll just put this in here at the end. I've been working with Bob for well over a decade now. So I've seen his company grow, and I've seen what they can do.
Well, thank you, Roger. Our pleasure. Thanks for making us part of the gala. And here's to great success in 2021. Okay.
Cheers to that.
Thank you. Bye-bye.